I want to be like, I'm going to be like you. Hello, friends. Welcome to the cult. No. Who does that? Who does the hello, friend? Oh, that's Joe Rogan.
Hello, friends.
Hello, friends.
Hello, friends. Hello, friends. My name is Nathan Laurie. If you are new here, we talk about the law and the facts. If you're about that life, don't forget to like this video, share this video, and subscribe to the channel. All right, so today we are talking U.S. women's soccer again, and unfortunately, fortunately, I should say, fortunately, we have multiple updates we have to get to. So today I brought on my boy Uncivil Law to go over the happenings with U.S. soccer before their hearing on March 7th, which we will be covering live from the Ninth Circuit. What's going on, Kurt?
I'm doing great, man. This hearing on March 7th should be very, very interesting. Seeing what the Ninth Circuit deals with this fact pattern and how they deal with just the reality of the whole situation. If they find a way to overturn the judge, it'll be interesting.
Well, first, let's start with the developments in the hearing. So everyone understands what's going on. The Biden administration now has come forward and wants to address the court in this particular case. Now, obviously, the Biden administration is not on the side of U.S. soccer; they're on the side of the women's national team. So they've asked the court if they can be heard within the case. And the women's national team has actually agreed to give up some of their time. So here it is from the Pasadena Now. The Equal Opportunity, the EEOC, what is that? Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. Is that what that is? EEOC wants to address the Ninth Circuit in the Women's Soccer Equal Pay hearing. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission has asked the Pasadena Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals to address the court during oral arguments in an appeal by American women's soccer players trying to reinstate their pay claims against the U.S. Soccer Federation. Hearing is scheduled for March 7th. So should we give people some background on what's going on? Because I'm assuming everybody knows, but maybe it's good to give a little background. So the U.S. women's national soccer team sued their employer, U.S. Soccer, over equal pay. They're saying that they were being paid less than the men. And the conclusion was that was all fugazi, right? They weren't being paid less than the men. They were actually being paid more than the men. And
per game in total, and especially during COVID when the men were paid zero and the women were paid several $1 million.
Yeah. So when the judge kind of got the course, he's like, well, hold on, you guys got paid more per game overall, and it doesn't really seem like you guys got a case here. So he threw out the equal pay claims. But the women's national team, being who they are, they said, well, we believe the judge is wrong. Even though we got paid more money, we still want to get paid more.
Mm-hmm.
So then during the appeals process, COVID hit. So when COVID hit, then we had another big problem. No games could be played. And like Kurt said, the men's team during the COVID year got paid absolutely nothing. They got a big donut.
Big fat goose egg, $0 in every possible sense. No compensation of any kind during COVID because there were no games. And the men were purely performance-based. So since there was nothing to perform, they got no money.
So you would think that would like settle the issue, right? Well, the women that year got paid literally $100,000 salaries, full benefits. They got everything. They got a whole big multi-million-dollar package, and the men got nothing. So you would think that would kind of clear the whole equal pay, right? The men should be the ones actually filing suit, right? They should be the ones suing.
Kind of, sort of.
Hey, we didn't get paid anything last year. They got paid millions of dollars. What's up with us? But that's neither here or there. So that happened, and the women's national team still went on filing this lawsuit. So now enter Joe Biden. Joe Biden, before he got elected, jumped on this bandwagon. They're being discriminated against, equal pay. For some reason, do you think the Biden administration is that dumb where they don't know? They didn't read the judge's lawsuit and say, hey, the women actually got paid more. This can't be an EEOC claim. What do you think is driving their wanting to get involved in the lawsuit?
The total upside potential for the women is not the same. The women won the World Cup, and they got paid a dollar figure. If the men had won the World Cup, they would have gotten paid a much bigger dollar figure.
Mhm.
So the total amount of money that's available is not the same. And the women have won the World Cup multiple times, where the men have never won the World Cup ever. So the upsides are not the same. Now the reason that that is true is important, because when it comes to discrimination on the basis of sex, the discrimination has to be because of sex. That has to be the reason. And here it doesn't seem like the reason. The reason is just because the financials are literally not the same. The women compete in a whole bunch of tournaments that might be comparable in some sense to the World Cup. Those tournaments don't pay anything of the winners. The men compete in tournaments that might be comparable to the World Cup. Those tournaments do pay. The amount of money is different for the men because more people are interested in the men's game. So there's more viewers, more people in the stadiums, more people buying hot dogs, and more people doing all kinds of things. So there's just more money because there's more interest in the game. So the reason of the discrimination is not rooted on sex. It's rooted in pure economic pragmatism. But we can pretend it's sex and say, well, we should have the ability to have this huge upside, even though there's literally not money to pay us. It doesn't exist. The only way for this money to exist would be for the men and women to share the prize pool. So the men would literally have to give up their money in order for the women to have the access to that money.
Yeah,
And I
but
mean, that's the only way it works pragmatically.
yeah, I agree 1000%. But I also think on the back end, there's a hedging piece to it that I think the media is missing, and we'll get to the ESPN article because ESPN did like a little workup about this. There's a there's a back piece to it in which the women hedge their bets against loss. Right. No matter what happens, we are going to get paid 100,000, multi-million dollars per year. Right. So no
Right.
matter what happens, the men didn't have that hedge. They were going in like hired guns. Hey, if the world blows up, we get nothing. Right. So we're going in straight on performance. If we lose, we're out. If you guys don't have to plan games, nothing. We just are going to get a big zero. COVID. That's what happened. So when you're negotiating any type of agreement, there's benefits on both sides, right? Equity is one piece, and that's what, like Kurt's saying, the women's national team, they're saying the equity. We can't get the 15 or 20 million dollars the men can possibly get. But on that lower end, they said, well, we want to hedge. We want to make sure the lowest we can get is $3-4 million. While the men said, well, we're willing to bet on zero. And that actually happened. So whenever you're talking about contracts, this is one of the key points about, especially negotiating any type of contract, is that you look at how much you can make on the upside, but then you also look at how much you can lose on the downside. The hearing is scheduled for March 7th, which we're covering live here. Thank God for the Ninth Circuit, who is now live streaming all of their hearings. This is where the Biden administration comes in. So the Biden administration, obviously, I'm assuming they read the judge's conclusions.
Sure.
And I'm assuming they know the exact same thing. These are professionals. I'm assuming they understand it just as me and you do. So, I don't know why they're asking for this time, but I'm thinking this is more political than legal, right? It's just
Sure.
like they need to get this money.
I mean, the politics are real, right? And
Yeah.
assuming the women do eventually lose at the Court of Appeals, which seems to my mind to be the right legal answer, but it's the Ninth Circuit, so who knows? But assuming the women lose, then they can just say, well, this is a tragedy. Women aren't being paid the same, blah, blah, blah. Get Congress to change the law. And I don't even know how you would change the law theoretically to account for this situation. Again, the only real way it seems as a practical reality to change this is to force the men and women to share a prize pool and force the men and women into the same structure. And the women were offered the same structure at the time, which they turned down. And then their contract expired during this lawsuit. They were offered the same structure as the men again, and they turned it down again. So it's like, what are you talking about? You want equal pay, but you keep turning down the same pay structure. So do you want equal pay or not? I don't get it. Well, I
Well,
kind of do. They want their cake and eat it too.
yeah, they want the guarantees, but then they want to be able to make the max money. No, understanding that US, and that's why I think the crux of this is. This is really about greed. That's what this is. Let's just call it. This is really about greed, because and like Kurt explained earlier, the men's team only gets paid if they make money for U.S. soccer. So in other words, they go out there and play and make money, they get paid. That's it. Go out there and play, make us some money, and we give you a cut. That's the way it goes. But the women's team is not like that. The women's team is, you don't got to do anything. Just be alive, and we have to pay you. We have to. You don't have to go make anything for us. And they're saying, well, okay, that means something. That costs something, right? That's something tangible, right? And when it came to the COVID years, U.S. Soccer couldn't bring in any income from any of this crap, right? Nobody's playing any games, and yet they still had to cut them checks as if they were playing a full season. So that's what we're talking about, and that's what I think is the big issue here. You know, they want their cake and eat it too. I think you said it perfectly. Here is here's the rest of the article. So according to the Associated Press, the EEOC said that players' lawyers agreed to give up 4 minutes of their 20-minute time allotment before the 3-judge panel. According to the lawsuit, go ahead.
No, I was just thinking, first of all, it's a little late in the day for this. But second of all, if I'm USA Soccer, I probably am agreeing to this because it breaks up their time and breaks up their argument. By giving up 4 minutes of their argument and having two different people argue, it breaks up the flow of the argument. So I'm probably agreeing to this, but it's very late in the day. I mean, we're having the oral arguments a month from now. We're trying to change who's participating. It's weird.
This is according to the lawsuit. U.S. Soccer Federation discriminated against women by paying them less than men for substantially equal work, and by denying them at least equal playing, training, and travel conditions, equal promotion of their games, equal support and development of their games, and other terms and conditions of employment equal to the men's national team. Now, just to be clear, everything they're saying now, and I love how they do this. They kind of set up the allegations, but all these allegations were false. They actually made more. The ones that were actually that went forward was the training and travel conditions. They settled that, so no side really took any blame. The women are asking for $64 million in damages plus $3 million in interest under the Equal Pay Act. On March 20th, a judge in Pasadena rejected the claims that they were paid less than the men's national team, and he did that based on the evidence that both sides provided. Right, both sides provided the evidence that they were being paid. The team originally filed a lawsuit against the U.S. Soccer Federation 2019, 28 players. In 2019, they won the World Cup, victory in France. Then Judge Kloster wrote in his decision that the members of the U.S. women's national team did not prove wage discrimination in the equal payout because the women's team played more games and made more money than the men. Now, this is deceptive. And what I mean by deceptive is that because the women played more games and made more money. But it doesn't say here that the judge specifically said they made more money per game. See, this makes it seem like they made more money because they played more games, which is not true. They made more money per game. So on average, if the men played 10 games and the women played 10 games, the women would actually make more money because they were making more money on average. Does that make sense, Kurt?
Absolutely.
So this is again, this is what our liberal media bias would just let's just say it and people won't oh my God, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. According to Clausen, the women's team also rejected collective bargaining agreement where they could have played under the same pay structure as the men's national team. Correct. This approach, merely comparing what each team could have made under the other team's CBA, is untenable because it ignores the realities that the men's national team and women's national team bargain for different agreements which reflect different preferences, and that the women's national team explicitly rejected the terms they now seek to retroactively impose on themselves across the road.
Yeah,
judge,
and as was noted before, at the time this lawsuit was filed, it was true that the women would have been paid more under the men's structure, but the men would have been paid more under the women's structure. So apparently they're both equally sexually discriminated from each other because they both would have done better under the other person's deal. So I don't even know what that means in terms of sexual discrimination. It doesn't mean anything because it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. It does. Both teams would have made both teams Should have, you know what they should have did? They should have handed
Just,
each
just
other
literally
the
swapped,
deal.
literally handed each other's contracts. You both would have been better off.
And it shows you that U.S. soccer is being sued because they got good negotiators. They're like, the women's never going to win the World Cup, so let's pay them anything for winning the World Cup. They're never going to make it. And the women who are going to win the World Cup, let's just give them guaranteed money, right? So the U.S. soccer's negotiating teams are just better. Let's just call it what it is.
I mean, it's not that much better because they did offer the women the same structure.
Yeah.
I mean, they were willing to do it. They were willing to do it at the time, and during this lawsuit, their contract expired. The women agreed to an extension of the existing discriminatory contract, which seems odd, but they did. And they were offered the structure again, and they still turned it down. So I don't think it's necessarily that they're brilliant negotiators. It's the women literally don't want what they're just, here it is. Do you want it? I mean, what kind of negotiation strategy is this? I'm literally handing you the thing you say you want. That's my negotiation strategy. Yeah, we don't want that.
We don't want that.
Okay, I don't know what to
We'll
do.
see you in court. We'll see you in court.
Yeah. So I'm not sure it's brilliant negotiation by them.
The judge also ruled, this one. The sides reached a settlement agreement in the allegations of discriminatory working conditions, allowing the women to receive the same flights, hotel rooms, and staff support as the men's national team. We hope 2022 will be the year of peace and health and equal pay. We look forward to these oral arguments, said player spokesman Molly Levinston. Well, first, my question to you is, what do you think the Biden administration is trying to do here by injecting itself into this case at this particular point in time?
It's performative. It's just performative for show.
Yeah.
And though, to be fair, it's the Ninth Circuit, so it might be performative for results. But I think that there's a pretty reasonable chance that in the event that the district court is overturned, the U.S. Supreme Court would take certiorari on this, because this seems like the kind of case that they might be interested in. So I don't know that the Ninth Circuit is necessarily at the end of the road, and so we'll see what happens in terms of that. It'd be hilarious if the women appeal, if the women do lose. The women lose and they appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court because
they're going down in flames. Though,
it's going to turn them down hard.
Yeah. If they take the case of the Supreme Court with those conservative justices looking at these facts, yeah, they're going to be going down in flames. So, well, listen,
those damn conservative judges looking at the actual law and applying it to the actual facts in a consistent, even way. Damn them.
Well, listen, guys, let us know what you think in the comment section. You know, are me and Kurt just crazy maniacs? You know, should the Biden administration even be getting involved in this case? Because this is not, you know, they're ordering the EEOC to go and give arguments to try to support the women's national team. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe there's something we're not seeing. Let us know in the comment section. And for Kurt, Uncivil Law, don't forget to check out his channel too. I forgot to tell people, check out this guy's channel. The link is going to be clicked up here somewhere. But don't forget to check out this guy's channel. He covers everything in great detail. So my 10-minute videos gives you a little bit, but his 3-hour breakdowns that go out over the stuff line by line, they tell you the full story. So with that said, my name is Nate. For Kurt, I'm out of here. Peace.